Hello once again, and welcome back to Saving for Skaven, where I sit here, kidnap some people, and we talk about the things that are popping up regarding AOS 4.0 as we get closer to its release. And today we are going to once again look at some humanish type stuff with quite possibly the single most sinister Stormcast to have ever walked the Portal Realms. Oh my god, you can shave with this one. It is I was going to call him the Reclusa. No, Reclusian. That's the one. Reclusian. It sounds like a Italian diner. Yeah, this is quite possibly my all-time favorite Stormcast miniature. I love him. He's great. He's brilliant. Oh, sorry. Yes, and with me, of course, is Big Swing D.
We thought you'd forgotten for a second, man.
No, I did.
Much
Yes.
excitement.
Yes, I threw myself right into it without stopping to think because I'm tired. And with us, of course, is the always beautiful Adatum.
What you won't know is that the Reclusian was actually the Tudor term for a toilet.
I'm going to take your word for that. I'm not
More
No.
for you.
No notes. But yeah, the first of the new Sigma, the new Stormcast, I should say, popping up for AOS 4.0. I don't even know if it's actually called 4.0, if they're actually going to call it Fourth Ed. I know they're calling it new AOS in the hashtags, but yeah, the fourth edition of Age of Sigmar is not too far off. And these, oh my word, the Stormcast have a problem. And that is that the reforging process doesn't work. So every time they die, they are taken back to Sigmarillion and reforged. And each time they do, bits are cut off, they lose memories, they lose humanity, until eventually they just become basically murder automatons. And this is what the end result of that is, this inhuman monster of a Stormcast. And the armor reflects that beautifully. I mean, oh my god, these guys are great.
In any other faction, these would be you'd use one of these as a character, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just gorgeous.
They really are. And the fact that they've got little helpers walking around with them as well.
Little helpers who apparently are their distant relations as well.
Yeah. How good is that?
To try and remind them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a bonkers concept.
The Memorians, often direct descendants of the Stormcast Eternals themselves. They are an anchoring presence for the Reclusians, ensuring that the precious humanity that grounds them does not slip away in battle. Yeah. I love these guys. I'm absolutely 110% in complete adoration of them. The one with the two axes, there's something about his positioning and that face mask that really just sells it to me. That, yeah, I mean, I've got no interest in the Stormcast army, but I'll probably pick these guys up just for, I don't know, making something in Frostgrave or something like that.
Oh yeah, I mean, these would be a great prod base for anyone to have a mess around with.
Mm-hmm.
It's little things like the addition of bits of chainmail, which none of the Stormcast have.
No.
Yeah.
All the little parchments and chains draped around them.
Mm-hmm.
Even the fact that their helms are much more sinister looking than other Stormcast.
Yes.
A bit spiky.
Yeah, there is an element of the spike. I mean, good God, sticking some Chaos Warrior helmets on these guys would look amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, they are so close to being chaos, and a paint job on these would easily. I mean, even the cliche sort of yellow, orange, red, with some dark skulls on there, and boom, you got it.
Yeah.
Stuff. What I like though is, you mentioned the assistants. Let's just say, I like the one that has the flaming banner, the flaming stick, holding them, because you can't see their face. And to that, I actually think there's almost an element of penance and shame to it. I'm
Mhm.
definitely reading into this, but it's almost unknown. It reminds me as well of the guys that are floating around the rock.
Oh, the
Oh,
Watchers
the
in the Dark.
Watchers. Yeah.
There's an element of that,
Mm.
and also the fact that because they're great descendants, they are not looking after one of the finest warriors that has served and protected the realm for hundreds of years. They're looking after Great Uncle Bob, know, but they are the heart. It's weird. You have the warrior who's the physical there fighter, but then you have next to them what remains probably their heart and soul in the
Mhm.
form of their descendant. I think it's lovely,
Mm.
lovely balance.
There's a cool thing that happens in AOS, and there's a conversation that happened on the Discord the other day actually about how a moving timeline compared to a stationary timeline when it comes to Warhammer systems. And I think there's no real clear winner on this. I prefer the moving one. And one of the reasons for that is that each edition of Age of Sigmar moves things forward a couple of hundred years.
Mm.
But it also then takes everything that happened in the last edition and adds it to its own history. So the Battle for Glimsforge, which was the big opener for second edition for Soul Wars, this huge, great big rise of the undead and the Stormcast that fought there, and the Cities of Sigmar guys that fought in that. There are elements in the third edition where people are talking about how their great granddad fought at the Battle for Glimsforge and have this skewered memory of it. So the memory, what you're reading in the Cities of Sigmar book for this edition, for third edition, it is pretty much the same as what you got in the campaign, but it's skewered slightly different because it's a couple of hundred years later and it's been lost to memory until the Stormcast. Yeah, exactly. And then until the Stormcast start talking about it, and then you get what actually happened. And it's such a clever thing to do. It's so simple and yet so smart. And so having that connection for the Stormcast physically being on the table now is amazing to me. That's so good.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's just smart as shit.
And of course, those two memoriams, they're going to be great for 40k for Inquisitorial Warbands and Chaos Cultists.
Aye, absolutely. You could put them in Necromunda so you don't have the fucking them. You know what I'm talking about? Fucking pantaloon bastards. Have you noticed the cool thing about the Reclusian shields?
Oh, they've swapped out they got a skull on the.
Yeah, it's a skull with a beard rather than Sigmar's face. That's a small, subtle thing to do, but it's so good. I'm proper impressed with that.
It's generally intriguing the fact that these represent the walking lie of Sigmar's promise.
Yeah.
In a way that almost no other unit to date has.
No. I mean, there's it's not Hammerhand.
No, it's Ionis Cryptborn who's trying to find a cure of sorts.
But there's one of the original Stormcast from the Realmgate War days at the very opening of Age of Sigmar. He's fallen to it now.
It is Vandus.
Vandus Hammerhand. Yeah,
he's gone a bit bonkers.
Yeah, so just being able to take who was the Marinus Calgar of the Stormcast and absolutely lay him low. He is like so far removed from where he was at the beginning of Age of Sigmar. It's smart storytelling. It's really smart storytelling, and I love it. This is why I adore Age of Sigmar. I really do, because it does stuff like this. It plays with its own setting so well, and whilst that sometimes doesn't work, Kragnos, when it does work, it works beautifully.
This will be the most random aside in today's show, I'm sure. But I
was going to say that's a hell of a statement to make in terms of the Fluffenhammer.
But it actually reminds me of the old After the Bomb Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles roleplay game. From I told you it was a choice pick.
Oh man.
Because they as I mean, it was an amazing book, amazing role play
Mhm.
system. I actually it was the role play system that I played when I was younger, and one of the I think it was after the Bond movie Mutants Down Under. One of the books anyway. It dealt with different timelines, and you could
Mhm.
go into the same area at different timelines, and there was a character who was in many ways a kind of as sort of mirroring the sort of the warriors here, in that over
Mm.
time the humanity lessened.
Mhm.
And so at the beginning you had these beautiful deep stories with interaction and guide on how they would know you and the bonds that you would share. And then at the other end of the time frame, it was dispassionate. It was gone. And there was that sense of loss.
Yeah.
And that there were elements where they tried to keep his personality, but it was just a copy. And you've always got that with these guys as well. You've always got this as time moves on, no one is safe from the ravages of time.
No.
It's a lovely way as well to to sort of because you're not killing off people because of something that happens off screen. You're killing them off because of time, which makes perfect sense.
Yes.
The fact that they've survived so long is amazing. But yeah, like Hero in second edition, Lost in third, um, in fourth. I wonder, what's the progression from there? Spirit.
Well, there's a thing called the Stormgeist, which is a spirit that doesn't go through reforging peacefully. It breaks and it becomes this evil, for want of a better term. It is pure elemental energy. And it's something that hasn't been placed on the table yet. And I'm wondering if this is when we see the Stormgeists start to appear.
That could be interesting. Very
There's
interesting.
so to quote a certain attorney who was shortly after doomed, are they living long enough to become the villain of the piece? No, seriously. Is
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Well, I mean, these guys, yes, because these are not the Stormcast. Depending on which chamber you come from, can be as much a diplomat as a warrior.
Yep.
You know, they can be as much a leader as an actual brute force smashy smashy. The Reclusians, being so far broken down and removed and have lost so much of themselves, they are basically point at the enemy, they go fight. There
Yeah.
isn't much else
Yeah.
to them. You know, they are 3 steps away from being Khorne followers, you know.
Yep.
If it wasn't for the fact that Sigmar's reforging process brings them to life, they probably would be. And a lot of these the Stormcast were probably originally saved by saved in bunny ears.
Yep.
You know, because they were fighting Khorne back in the
Well,
days of the Realm Gates.
some of them, I mean, hell, some of them were actually Chaos Warriors at one point.
Yeah.
With
Yeah,
the way that Calmaras could purify their essence when it.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that's the entire idea, isn't it? These were all taken at the point of death because they were great heroes, and Sigmar could see in them the ability to cause great damage in his name. And you know, it's placed a lot more fancy than that. But the lie that Sigmar is that he was taking pure souls when he wasn't. He was taking anyone who could be a Stormcast.
No.
You know,
And it's kind of mirrored in the fact that to most, they're really pushing it with the Dark Oaths, that the Dark Oath tribes and most of the mortals that were left behind by Sigmar really do not. They did what they had to survive.
Yeah.
And they really do not like Sigmar and his
no.
people coming back and saying, "Well, you shouldn't have done this. We're going to wipe you out and take over now." And it's like, fuck off.
Well, it's one of the cool things about the Dark Oath. Well, there's a lot of cool things about the Dark Oath. The Dark Oath are not like, for example, the Chaos tribes or the.
They're not mindless marauders.
No, they're not in as of themselves evil. They are, you know, they are the mirror image of the cities of Sigmar. You know, the cities of Sigmar are the ones who are able to hide behind the walls and protect themselves as best they could, whilst the Dark Oath are the ones that couldn't hide and had to change or die. Yeah, there's a wonderful little bit in Queen of Blades, Queen of Blood, one of the novellas, where they're scared Stormcast that Sigmar were trying to steal them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're terrified by the idea that they're going to be taken away and turned into one of his mindless minions. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah. See, the cities in the Darko form was really nice. They give a nice little shade of grey to everything, but
Yeah.
Mm.
the fact that neither's entirely wrong
Mhm.
in their thinking. Neither's really entirely right, but
No.
they've probably got more in common than they do with Archeon and his lads and Sigmar and his.
Absolutely. You look at the Dark Oath and compare them to the Iron Golems from Archeon's giant war bands. Yeah, the Iron Golems are chaos because they are singular purpose bred into behavior, and that behavior is repeated. In the case of the Iron Golems, it's the creation of weaponry and the use of weaponry. The Dark Oath, they are people. Just they've had to adapt to become tribal, and they worship aspects of the Chaos powers, not to the point where there's mutations and gifts given down to them, because they're nowhere near that level of worship. But it's enough to have kept them alive.
And in fact,
I love the Dark
a
Oath.
lot of them seem to actually try to avoid going that far.
Yeah,
which I think is a great idea.
Yeah, well, it's why it's aspects, isn't it? Because they're trying to stay arm's length away from stuff, but also not getting attention or anybody coming after them for it. So you've got the Dark Oath that worship the Great Raven being an aspect of Nurgle, but it's so distorted a version of Nurgle that they cannot get powers, they cannot get mutations, they don't get chosen because they're so many steps removed. It's smart. It's good storytelling.
Yeah.
Anything else anybody wants to say about the Reclusians? Because now I've gone on this weird.
Well, just I think just the mortal priests. I just want to see more of them as well. I like the fact that there's extra fabric, but it's more like its own look, and it's a nice contrast. And I do wonder. I mean, this obviously shows up my lack of knowledge about this world. But if you have a Reclusian, say on if he's on foot or if he's on a beast, then obviously I would expect a mortal priest to have similar mode of transport or at least be around doing similar things. But are there as well larger things that they can ride on or be part of?
Oh God, yeah.
So then I would love to think then that there would be sort of so for instance like manning a particular siege weapon, for instance, or any sort of thing. So would there be the version of that for the mortal priests?
I mean, they have a ballista that they're retiring when it's moving to Legends because it's part of the Sacrosanct Chamber. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see an updated war machine of some kind like that. They've got a chariot at the moment, which honestly, I'm now thinking I'd love to do a conversion of one of those with a Reclusium and their Memoriam riding together. That could be a lot of fun.
Imagine if the war machine is a Reclusian bolt thrower, but instead of bolts, it's family members.
I'm just imagining a sidecar.
Come on, little Jimmy, into the bolt thrower.
But no, there's all sorts of lovely ways that you can do it. I mean, let's face it. Stu did.
The Black Templar. Yeah.
Yes, and the thing was as well. It was kind of the Templar's lovely, and obviously strategic stare is wonderful. I take full credit for that now.
It's Helbrecht's conversion.
Yes,
yeah, that's
lovely.
Lovely.
It's his assistant that gets a lot of the praise. It's weird.
Yeah,
polishing the sword.
Yeah, but it's the assistant that also gets a little, and I just think that there's that great opportunity to have that extra element to these characters. But the mortal priest not always acting perfectly in the spirit of the moment.
Yeah, I think. I mean, we're already scratching the surface of what's going to be in the box for AOS.
I mean, I am genuinely excited to see what else gets revealed for this box set release, let alone the full kits, because these are all going to be push fit. We know that.
Yeah.
But still, if you look at how good these look for push fit, you just think,
I don't care when it comes to push fit, as long as the. I mean, obviously,
they've gotten so good at it for the last decade. Their push fit used to get a lot of flack, not undeservedly, but from Dark Vengeance onwards, it's been banger after banger after banger.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And I'd even go as far to say that. Do you remember the? I want to say the 6th edition Plastic Empire.
Yes.
See, they're still my favourite Plastic Empire infantry, the handgunners and the spearmen.
Now I can see why.
Because I prefer them to what they did later on, making them much more of a ragtag, very poorly funded army. But I get why they did that. But those are still very two-dimensional in their design.
Yeah.
The current batches, though, are just... I mean, you wouldn't know they were push fit unless you knew...
Well, just look at the Terminators from Leviathan.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, they are excellent. Absolutely excellent. I've just realised, by the way, that, you know, the big picture of the Reclusian with the AOS hashtag and everything behind him and the artwork of the Reclusians, they've painted his fucking eyes in.
What?
It's
the
really... No, not the glow. On the miniature.
On the actual...
It's a really subtle.
So they have.
They've painted very pale eyes in. You can't see them, and I only just caught them off the chart.
Bastards.
Holy mother of God, the cheeky fucks. Right, we're going to draw this to a close.
On that envious note.
Yeah, on that angry note, because Games Workshop. I look forward to ending the recording, and then
thank you. Thanks. Let us know how you feel.
Well, let me finish. Let me finish. I look forward to ending this recording and then seeing what Games Workshop drops. Not a minute after I finish the recording. Not a fucking minute.
Well, as of this minute, you'll find they've not put out any new AOS stuff today.
No, they won't. They won't until I press stop.
And to be fair as well, that was a verbal recovery as good as Sigmar ever did.
Last week, when I did the first two of these, the moment I stopped recording, they dropped a complete history of the Skaven. The moment.
Yeah.
It was insanely on point, and the rage that I went through was...
It's a fact that me and Darren could hear you open the page, swear, start reading, and in a space of the couple of minutes it took you to read the article, the stream of invective just grew louder and louder and more inventive. It was brilliant.
I think the term rusty cunts came out of my mouth because I was angry. Yeah. Which I might have to update my old Sunday Musings one article, which is called "It Just Keeps Happening," which proves that Games Workshop are listening to me, because that was too on point, way too on point.
Yeah.
So,
just a shame we didn't record it.
Oh no, it wouldn't have happened if I was recording.
This is true.
Yeah. So, with all that being said, we're going to get out of here. Thank you very much to you guys at home for listening, if indeed you still are. Bye-bye.
Bye.